Recording in progress.
So it's recording now. Istungon jokayadega. Istungon jokayadega. That's for one person. Did you make it through the night okay? Because we don't have good morning and it's sure glad to be back. Finally, our challenge goal is over. So we can be here. I'll be here on Fridays when I can. But so it was 3 Fridays in a row. But so this week will be our last week in time to do another one. Now, next class, we are going to have vocabulary. And that's using like ma, ya, da, and hiya. And when they use, okay, this next class is going to be dos, doa, or doa. This is where tones are going to come in, okay? That's going to be our next one. So hang in there, because, I think we need to go over this again, like the noun verb phrases we did, like gotcha, let's start. I hope somebody got something out of that. It's just having to study it. Now, this one is going to be using like doa, doa, da. And you don't realize like mada, da is a word. Da is a word. So we're going to go through all these little things that, and then when you see these things on these phrases, you're going to know what they are. Like, and some of it's going to be does. So we're going to go through all this because it needs to be covered. Because as speakers, we'll say like, palagna, okos, does. And that's going back to I am washing dishes. That AC at the end of do is saying you're doing it. That goes back to verbs. And that's all on that verb sheet that we got. So the next class is going to be pretty interesting. And I'm working on it now. So it's still going to Did you make it through the night? Okay. Okay, the next one. This is more than one. The first one was I was just talking to David. The second one is I'm talking to all you that's on here. Istungon jokaya de gaga. Hear my tone? Istungon jokaya de gaga. Did you make it through the night? Okay, more than one. Did y'all? That's at Oklahoma speaking, y'all. Did y'all make it through the night? Okay. So, y'all guys, this is how, see the Indians, and that's what we're studying right now is Indians, okay? Is Indians. All right. Today we're going to do something different because last week we kind of got intense. But looky here. These are greetings. Hishche. And I hardly ever use hishche. I use istungo. But the response could be hishche. Istungo, how are you? But most of the time I don't even say hishche. I just say istungo, which that's saying how are you when you meet up with somebody, and that's a greeting too. And I got yes, how are you? You could say hishche and somebody can say hishche back to you, but here's istungo, and you say yes. And you, jinda, istungesos. This is all going at istungesos. Chihijayat hitos. It is good I seen you. Chimio. Chimio is you. Chimi, that's you. And yo, that's like an expression that we use like aniyo, me too. Chimio, you too. We haven't seen each other in a long time. And this is what my my mother or even my grandmother when they were, and usually they met up, during the summertime. These people didn't see each other through the winter months. They saw each other during the summer months, like at the grounds, and that's where they usually saw each other. And that's how come it says Tihijiyigat Hofoni. It's supposed to be Hofoni, so these are S on there. Tihijiyigat Hofoni. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Mondos, that's true. And see, they usually ask, how's the rest? How's the family? Abal doggy, don't go for luck. Abal doggy is the rest of them. Don't go for luck. How's the family? How's the rest? They are okay. Don't go for list. Chinakta. See, you can tell right here that this is like haven't seen each other in a while. And during the way back, winter time was a break for the grounds. Winter time was a break. And then they start seeing each other through the summer. Okay. So they didn't say bye, they just say Jihi office. And at the one ground that I went to, that last dance, they had everybody, the chief would go around and shake hands with everybody at the camp. And saying, you take care of yourselves, because they knew they wasn't going to see each other until that summertime. But I want to tell you this story about him. He went and shook hands with all the camp members that morning of the last dance. He died that morning. That morning, that afternoon, they found him. He had already passed. And he was telling them, I'll see you next time around. But he didn't get to. And they had it that night, and I'm going to tell you, we were shocked. Because we seen him too. And then they called us and said he passed. And so see that his shaking hands was the last thing he was going to do to all the campers there. And told them to take care of themselves next summer. So as maybe next summer, and that's how come our people, my mother, she used to say, don't ever make plans for anything. Be spontaneous. She said, don't say we're going to do this, or especially to the grounds in church. You don't say you're going to be there. You say, if everything's okay. That's what they used to tell us. If everything's okay. Like if they say, well, y'all gonna go to church next Sunday, we say, not don't go no what. If everything's okay. You're not supposed to make definite. And even the grounds, they'd say, if everything's okay. That's the way the elders used to do. But now they'll say, yeah, I'll be there. But back then my mother used to say, don't do that. She used to say, if everything's okay, I'll be there. So that's what I got used to. I got used to doing that. Just saying, if everything's okay. Greetings to a visitor. When a greeting comes in, or a visitor comes in, you say, Ajibas, come in. Ajibas, sit down. Legibus, or have a seat. Legibus. Now look at the difference here. You got Ajibus, Legibus, Legibus. This is legibus means sit down. Legibus means have a seat. Okay. Better check here. He's got a question. Was that Shakti done on what? How do you spell if everything is okay? If everything is okay.
What you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Knock, don't go know what. N-A-K, knock. Dongo. T-O-N.
Here.
Dongodon.
You don't want to type it here, it'll show this way.
So nak dongodon. N-A-K, knock, which is ni-a-ki. Dongo. D-T-O-N-K-O, it'd be D-O-N-I-Ki. O, dongo. Omat. O-mat. It's O-mi-a-D. Nak dongo no mat. Nak dongo omat. That means, you know, we didn't make definite plans, especially for the grounds and churches. You could not make, it was kind of like an omen. You know, like it wasn't no good to say, I'll be there. So my mom used to say, "Nak dongo no mat." Or she says, "Dongo no mat." That's what she used to say because of the fact that, you know, she said, especially for the grounds and church, you're not supposed to make definite plans. She said it wasn't good to. So that's how we would answer, you know. That's how we did things, you know, even when we were young. And you know, when we said, yeah, I'll be there when we were younger, she said, Mark, don't say that. She said, don't say that. Mark, she said, just say maybe. You know, no definite plans. And you know, these are old things that we used to follow. But you know, those things aren't known anymore. You know, and I correct my kids when they say that. You know, and now my husband knows, so like even at church, they'll say, y'all coming back next Sunday? Because we're going to do this. He'll say, if everything's okay. If everything's all right. He'll say that because he won't just say, yeah, we are. He just says, if everything's okay. You know, and he learned that, you know, from my mom, you know, and you know, one day me and him was just riding around. It was late in the evening. And he said, you know, we just talk. We talk sometimes when we're just riding around. And he said, you know, your mother, I miss her, he said. He said, I really miss your mother because he said, seemed like there was always something that I learned from her. You know, and said it was the old way because she was in her late 80s. He said that was the old way that she was telling us. You know, and she used to tell us why. They used to say, don't say this because, you know, it's not good. But, you know, nowadays, you know, you hear that. And I still correct my kids, you know. They'll say, oh, we're going to, and, you know, even Christmas. Are we going to get together Christmas? If everything's all right. We wouldn't make definite plans. You know, we weren't to do that. Or, you know, I'll ask my mom, you know, Friday, I'm going to go to town. Do you want to go? If everything's okay. She never said, yeah, I'll go with you. And that might be a week away. But she said, if everything's okay. And that's how we were taught. Okay, so right here, one person coming in. Ajibus, sit down, legibus. Have a seat, legibus. You want something to drink? You know, you always ask your visitors, you know, if they want something. You'll say, nak iskida chiajigo. Nak iskida chiajigo. And you tell them coffee. Remember, we didn't have coffee in English, so we didn't have it. So we called it coffee. See, ki ah long, fi coffee. Oh, Jados, I have coffee. Hombi chidua, have you eaten? Have you eaten? That's one of the things, you know, we never did really ask, have you eaten? But, you know, like if we haven't ate yet, and then I'll say, have you eaten? If they say no, I'll say, well, let me cook and let's eat. I'll say, let me cook and let's eat. Because we haven't ate either. You know, we haven't ate either. Okay, you made it back. That was another thing my mom said. Talaka job. Did you make it back? Talaka job. You made it back. You made it back. And when I walked in the door, she would say, Talaka job. And she knew, because she saw me, but that was that question, Talaka job. Come back again. Hadam Talagat G. See that exclamation mark? You don't just say, Hadam Talagat G. You gotta mean it. It has emotion. Hadam Talagat G. That's saying, you come back again. We'll welcome you back. Hadam Talagat G. You know, and that's just like Mado, I was saying one time. You don't just say Mado. You say Mado. Put that expression in there. Put that appreciation, I guess you would say. And this is saying, you come back. We want you to come back. Hadam Talagat G. And you know, like I said, you know, sometimes in English, you know, you can tell them, you come back. But that don't sound exactly like Talagat G, Hadam, or Hadam Talagat G. See that difference? To me, ours has more meaning. To you come back than in the English version. And I didn't break these down because we're just kind of going over some old stuff, you know. Okay. And
Mvhaya,
uh-huh.
I had a question. Would you say these same phrases about legbars? Is that is it? Legbars? Would you say that? Would you say that to an elder too?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it's not like a command like you would do a child.
No, now
Okay, so
child would be legas. That's a command, like to a child, legas, you know, and I use that a lot. Yeah, because I got a 7-year-old that's robust. I tell you what, he just turned 7 and he's about the most he could be raised in a cave and you wouldn't, you know, he could be raised in a cave. Anyway, I'll say Legas, you know, and you know, and he's using Crete now. He's using Mvskoke language now. So, you know, yesterday, like I said, if I made him biscuits and gravy, he's in heaven. So yesterday he asked me, and he didn't, okay, I'm gonna show you. He didn't say biscuits. He said, I want the ones you do this. See, he was, that's how I make biscuits, shaped by biscuits. And he said, Grandma, can you make this? He was talking about biscuits. And I said, Darlegi? He said, Darlegoji. Darlegoji, you know. So that's how he tells me he wants. But his mother did that too when she was little. So I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's in the blood or what, but he said, Grandma, can I have this? So I made him some, and he said, Davy, because that's how they used to say gravy, Creeklish. Gravy, Creeklish. And so I made him some, and he was just sitting there eating, and he goes, Grandma, Upjanwa. See, he's starting to use it. He was wanting salt. And then he said, Upjanwa, homoji. He wanted pepper. So he's learning these things, and you know, my husband, then here we go again, we was out about, and he said, you know, that boy, if we keep talking to him, you keep talking to him, he said, he's going to be speaking soon, because he doesn't use English around me very much, unless he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And he said, he's going to pick it up if you keep talking, and you know, I always wanted a little, I got more grandsons, and I always wanted a boy. And I got 4 or 5 grandsons, and they're my world right there. And but the little one that lives with me, you know, I'm around him more than the rest, because the other ones don't want to be seen with me because they're teenagers. You know, they're teenagers, and they you know, they're kind of like, I'm too cool for you. So, but this little one hasn't started acting that way yet. So he's around me a lot, you know, and so he's the one that I have around me most of the time, all the time. Like I said, he's robust, but you know, he'll say he's using Creek. And you know, way back when somebody had a boy, they were trained to be something of the ground of the church. A boy was most special thing that they could have, you know, and so a boy was reverend to a point. So this boy and his school, there's a superintendent at his school, and he's always said he's gonna be the next chief of the Mvskoke Nation, is what he tells people. You know, he says, this is gonna be the next chief, you know, and you know, he was a little escort for the homecoming. Instead of dressing him like a European would, we dressed him as a Creek. He wore black pants with dress shoes, and he wore a vest with ribbons. And his hair was braided. You know, so, you know, and I just hear, and after we went through that, then I saw on the news where they said that now the natives can dress as native people during graduation and stuff. You know, but this was before this was bad. But you know, they didn't say nothing to us. We just, you know, they didn't say this wasn't acceptable. They didn't say this wasn't, he couldn't wear this, you know, but we had his vest in ribbons. He had a black vest on, and I tell you what, he looks spiffy. Okay, right here, we're gonna go back to this. We don't usually ask, we'll just say, now I say that like if we haven't eaten, and I'll say, well, let me cook and let's eat, okay? That's what I say. Let me, I'll cook and let's eat. Okay, here we go to this. Okay, look here. This is where literal translation comes in. And we're just kind of going over different stuff because this week is our last week. We're trying to do it a refresher. This says full dungus. This is actually saying bee flies. It don't make sense in English, does it? Bee flies. But in Mvskoke, if you say full dungus, they'll say Mvhayv. Really? You know, Mvhayv means like, really? Are they really? Legas. Yan is here. Here I said, that don't make sense, but in Mvskoke it does. Legas. I'm sitting here. You know, and this is the part that remember we was talking about how nouns and adjectives and stuff, they're turned around. But it makes perfect sense in Mvskoke, but this is a literal. Here I said, the cat runs. Boset. This is our next vocabulary right here. Boset. This D at the end, it's going to be explained on the next class. Why that D is in there. Yeah, that's going to be, yeah, we have this right here, the noun and verbs that we went into. That's what this is going, and this is kind of a little simpler explanation to it. And I'll tell you what, that's what I've been working on for a week. It takes a lot of thought, you know. So here I am, I'm trying to get all this, you know, that's what I was working on before I come down here. Bullshit. It was explained in a noun, but this is going to be maybe a little simpler. I don't know. It may be. Likis, the cat runs. See, in Mvskoke it's saying Bose is cat, Likis. The D on there makes it D. But the cat runs, it doesn't make sense. If I walked up to Desiree here and say the cat runs, she would probably look at me like, huh, okay, whatever. But if I say bullshit leakis, she would say, oh, really? You know, moit. Here she goes. Okay. Gaben hayes. The coat I make. So if I walked up to Desiree and said, Gaben hayes, she would say, what kind? Or what color? Because this is saying I'm making a coat. If I walked up to her and say, Gaben hayes, she'd say, what color? It's doing. She would answer me back in Mvskoke and say, what kind, what color, or Mvhay, are you really? But here it says, the coat I make. That's a literal translation for that. Gaben hayes, the coat I make. And that's, you know, if I walked up to Desiree and say, the coat I make, what would you think, Desiree?
Well, it makes sense in Mvskoke.
Uh-huh.
In English, I'll be like, okay.
Okay.
Like finish the sentence, like, the coat I make is green.
Yeah.
Or is blue, or is long. I would think I'd be standing there waiting for you to finish the
Finish
sentence.
it, yeah, but you know, here in Mvskoke, it's done. It tells a whole story, you know. The dog barks. If it walkis. If it is the dog, walkis is barks. But you know, in Mvskoke, it makes perfect sense, but the dog barks, and if I woke up to Amy and say the dog barks, or Gary and say the dog barks, they say, oh, wow. So, but if I walk this, you could say, Mvhay, really? Or it's the mammon, where? Remember we went over there, where? It's the mammon. We went over those two. It's the mammon, where? You know, so that's how these are literally it doesn't make sense in English, but in Mvskoke, that's all I can say. Okay, right here. Asan, wakis. Asan means over there. Wakis means it lays. But look where it says in English, over there it lays. That's literal. Over there it lays. So I could say, look here though. I said, Borshi, I said wakis. The cat lays over there. The cat is laying over there. Borshi, I said wakis. That makes perfect sense. But if I said cat over there, it lays. If I added cat to this, it's saying the cat's laying over there. If I said wakis, the dog's laying over there. But if I added cat or dog to this, I'd say cat over there, it lays. And what this is trying to do, somebody wanted literal translations, and this is actually good because it's teaching you to a point how this is said, word content, and how to put them in how you're speaking. Okay, this is good. Somebody wanted this, and it's a good lesson. So it's asan means over there. Wakis means lays. It lays. That's literal, but what? And you can, this for situation environment. If you say, where's the cat? Bullshit. Okay, that's another word we're going to use. Da on this next lesson. Da is a word. Bullshit. Asan wakis. Say, what about the cat? He's laying over there. But if I said, asan wakis, cat over there, it lays. It's not going to make sense. If I said wakis, what about the dog? Over there. He's over there. So. Okay. He and wakis. Here it lays. See, okay, here's a whole deal. Porsi da. Asan wakis. Over there it lays, but you can say he and wakis is laying here. Because he and This is another one we're gonna study. This is gonna be the other one. He and Walkers, here it lays. All these little things that we're going over right here, like he and if it was it's gonna be explained. It was explained in that other one, but it may be gonna be a little simpler, maybe. Maybe, I hope so. But this is something that needs to be explained in depth. So I got another paper coming and and you know, a lot of times I went through it and I had some corrections to do. I backed up on it, backed up on this, filled it in here, filled it in there. And I'm still working on it. So that will be next class after this break. That'll give me time to work on this and kind of hopefully, maybe, it may be perfected. Okay, what about this? Here it lays. Hian is here. It lays walkis. Okay, this goes back to your pronouns. Remember, walkes is I'm laying. Walkis is second person. That goes back to your studying sheet. Your pronouns. Okay, here, hian is here. Walkis, it lays. You can say here, hian, ifa, walkis. The dog lays here. You can put, but you can say, put ifa over here, dog, hian, walkis, ifa, hian, walkis. You can put anything between or in the beginning, and it's going to say the same. Stays the same. But if you do it in English, you say dog here it lays, cat here it lays. Or you can say here dog it lays. Not gonna make sense. In Mvskoke, it does.
My older aunt,
Uh-huh.
she was in her 80s, and when she would speak English, she would speak like this. And now it makes sense that she was speaking in the way of Mvskoke, her English.
Yeah.
And that's why, and it makes sense now.
Does it to you?
It does now, and we just knew that's how she was, but now it makes sense why she did that, because she would speak English in the Mvskoke way, and we're like, wow, okay, but we just knew it was her. Now it makes sense that she was thinking Mvskoke, speaking English.
Speaking English. And you know, that was hard on them. I got two kids in my class, they're Asian. They don't know how to speak English. And she reminds me of like your grandmother or your mother and my mother. If she tries and she sits there and she pays really attention to me, she'll sit right in front of me and just look at me. But I haven't got her to speak it yet. Then I thought, what a confusing thing to learn to speak English, but then turn around and I come in and speak Mvskoke. Oh, that's a mind blower. You know, and I got two other Asian kids that speaks English, but I haven't got them to say Mvskoke words yet. And I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that out, you know, why. But now the one that doesn't speak English, she sits right in front of me, looks at me, as you know, she'll point at things. She'll point at them and not say a word though. But, and then I thought, you know what, my family went through this, not speaking English, and she just sits there. And I thought, I really felt for this little girl. I really felt for her because I was like, oh gosh, this baby, you know, this baby doesn't know how to speak English. And here I am, she's trying to learn English. And here I walk in teaching her Mvskoke. That can be really a mind blower. You know, but she sits there, she'll point at stuff, you know, if I say something, she'll point at it, but she doesn't speak yet. I got two more that I haven't got to speak yet, you know. And then I got a Eastern Indian. She doesn't speak either. She talks, but I haven't got her to speak the language yet. And they're just words. But she won't. And I thought, could it be their brain, their mindset? Okay. This is not me. Or what is this? Probably more or less, what is this? Okay, here we go. I said, walk it. Weeths. Over there, a cow stands. Over there, a cow stands. Now, see, remember now, this Wagat was explained before, but now I got another paper coming on next class. Why this is this way, okay? Ido Dulgis, tree is fallen. Ido Dulgis. This makes perfect sense. Don't make too much sense. Tree is falling, Desiree, unless I'm standing back here and I say, tree is falling, run. But this tree is fallen, it's a statement. Because this in Mvskoke, Idodulgis is a statement. It's just saying it. Idodulgis. Okay, the mouse, the corn is eaten. Jisit, Ajin, Babis. This is saying the mouse is eating corn. But here, the mouse, the corn is eating is exactly what this is translated to. Literal. Is everybody getting this? Is everybody kind of listening? Gary, you look a little confused.
Trying to keep up there. Just said, Ajahn Bapis,
Babis.
the mouse the corn is eating.
This is literal. Somebody was wanting to say, okay, we want literal translation. This is saying in perfect Mvskoke, in perfect sense in Mvskoke, this. Look at the word in here. The mouse, the corn is eating. It should be the mouse is eating the corn. Here it's saying this. In Mvskoke, it is saying the mouse is eating the corn. But in English, when you translate it, this is what it's saying. Does that make sense? Did I explain that good?
Yeah, it's starting to clear up a little bit. I recognize with the D at the end of Jesset as the mouse.
Yeah.
And Ajahn,
The corn.
that's the verb, the corn. And then Babis is eating.
Is he? Yeah. There you go. There you go. You might explain it better than I did.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay. I says kindergarten, let's look at this. Somebody said, I had a little boy in my kindergarten class from Bosnia who spoke 5 languages because he lived in 5 countries in his short life after fleeing the war in Bosnia. Oh, I look at, okay, in all culture, the girls and women do not speak.
That's what I was thinking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
that might be it.
That's my culture, believe it or not. We
Really?
we there are certain parts of it, the stricter parts of it we don't. But as little girls, we never spoke.
Well,
And
you know
if
that the girl don't speak, but I never thought of that.
I was
Because
thinking about that, 'cause the little girls are kind of like in the background where the boys are.
up front,
More.
kind of like our culture to a point. Girls are very important. They carry the clan and stuff, but man was there. They were reverend because they were either going to be chiefs, medicine men, or something, preachers, leaders. So and then it says little boy from Bosnia. Yes. Okay, that's good, Brandon, because if you didn't retain that, that's good. I never thought of that. We're kind of like that too, to a point. you know, in our culture, we're to a point like that, you know, a woman doesn't have say-so on certain things. You know, like at the grounds and at the churches, we don't really have a say-so. So. That's right, Brandon. I got one who's gonna be speaking here pretty soon. And you know, I never even thought of that. That makes perfect sense now.
When I had to interact with some cultures like that, I would have to say, in our culture,
Uh-huh.
our young girls and our women speak. So
Uh-huh.
that would free up their not wanting to speak because they don't know the Muskogee culture.
Yeah, but she's like 4. So I don't know what culture, if she would understand culture. But you know, and this other little girl, you know, she sits there and just listens to me. She won't speak. But they said she doesn't know English. And she'll just grin at me. And when I walk in, you know, she doesn't say hi to me or anything, but she'll come up and hug me. And that's where I know she's glad to see me, though she can't tell me. Her action tells me. But she's kind of, you know, and I'll sit there and I'll look at her and I'll say like I'm teaching them body parts. So I'll touch her nose and her hair and stuff, and I'll say it in Muskogee. And she nods her head. It just can't come out here, I think. You know, or maybe it's not supposed to. I don't know.
It takes a long time, Mvhaya. Like I believe it or not, I talk in this class and on the footage, but it that's from really trying hard. But for me, because I mean, like that, she's only 4. I mean, I'm 51, and I just now, even now, I'll revert to that where I just won't speak. I'll just stare at you, you know. Even though I've studied and studied and studied how to speak this language, it's still hard. So for her, she may literally just not comprehend that she can vocalize what's internal.
It could be, you know, but
Who knows?
You know, so that could be the problem. I never even thought of that. See, okay. Bullshit. Chuffin, Bobis. The cat, the rabbit is eaten. In English, that this right here, it says the cat is eating the rabbit. But in English, the cat, the rabbit is eaten. This is literal. Bullshit, Chuffin, Bobis. Okay, so bullshit. The cat, Chuffin, the rabbit, Bobis is eaten. The cat, the rabbit is eaten. And this is perfect sense in Muskogee. Now, if I walked up to you guys and said the cat, the rabbit is eaten, you know, you're like, okay, where'd she come from? Or maybe she needs to be. Okay, here we go. Ijo anatadit ilis. The wounded deer is dying. Ijo is deer, anatadit. The wounded. Ilis, dying. The deer, the wounded is dying, does not make sense. But if I said Ijuanakdadit Ilis, they would know exactly what I'm talking about. Coffin orgies. Coffee we have. So if a visitor come over and if you said coffee we have, you know, they're gonna look at you strange. But if a speaker come over and you said coffin orgies, oh, give me some. I'll take a cup. You scared this? I might can drink some. See, it's just you know, this is how we speak, and you know that's what we needed to do anyway. Kohan orgies. Cane we have. Kohan is like cane, like the cane post. And you know, my husband, we had to go look for some. This past summer, he was wanting cane poles. Cause for 4th of July, I think it was, or something. His sister, you know, she's really creative and stuff. So she was gonna make a tiki bar, but it was gonna have pop. We had pop and Gatorade and water behind it, no beer or anything. And she was gonna make but she wanted the cane, so we went looking for it. And we got some cane in our area, so we went down there until I saw a snake. I said, I ain't getting out. You take all the cane you want, but I am not getting out of this truck, you know. And so he cut all this cane down, and of course she made one. And then she had a teepee out there, you know, and then the kids would go up to this. It was more like an old fashioned pop stand. If anybody saw a pop stand at the grounds, that's what it was. And she said, and it was a concession stand. They'd go up and Brendan, coffee or jazz, coffee, yeah, right, love me some coffee. Yes, coffee or jazz, I got coffee, there you go. You know, and there were just boards at the grounds. We had a pop stand, we called it pop stand, and at church. We had boards just around this thing. And that's where you set the pot, and the pot was in this ice chest or whatever, and the ground was like that too. Well, she kind of made one like that, but she wanted this cane, and of course, she was a Head Start teacher, so she's real creative with kids and stuff. So she wanted to make that for the kids. So her and her brother, which is my husband, they went in and did all this stuff, and the kids would go up to this and say, we want Gatorade or water, Dr. Pepper. And my husband, you know, he's a child too. I raised some kids, I raised him. He went back there and he goes, what can I do for you? He'd be back there, you know. And you know, that's the things that, you know, his family does. Coffee, oh geez, we have coffee. Goha, so cane is the goha. Y'all's learning new words now, goha, but it says gohan because it says we have. Sathon, look here. This is going to be all explained in the next 6 weeks. Sathon hombes, the fish I am eating. That don't make sense, but here it says, I'm eating fish. I am eating fish. Sathon hombes. Somebody says, the basket I am buying. That might make sense. I don't know the basket I'm buying. But here it says, basket I'm buying. Basket I'm buying. Somebody says, the sifter I am buying. Sinyogan. Sinyogan. That is a sifter now. Y'all guys remember these words? Because these are, y'all's learning new words here. Sinyogan. Says, the sifter. But here it makes perfect sense. You're saying I'm buying a sifter. But here the way it's spoken is the sifter I am buying. Isti Mvskoke does. Isti is people. Mvskoke is the group of the Mvskoke. And does I am. Isti Mvskoke does. That makes sense because I do say that. I say Mvskoke does. I don't put isti, but I'll say Mvskoke does. I am Mvskoke. But here in English it's saying people of the Mvskoke group I am. So if I come to Desiree and say people of the Mvskoke group I am, I'd like to meet you. It's been a pleasure. But you know, it don't make sense. But if I said Isti Mvskoke does, Desiree, she would say, oh. She can say like I'm Choctaw or yeah. So she said Anio. She said me too. See Anio. She said me too. So see, this is where it's really it's and look at all those sounds. Look at all these words with those sounds. That's another thing. Look here. All these sounds are, y'all went over these sounds. They're in our sound papers. Look at how many words. Look at all this. Look at what all we went through. Yanleges, Orsit, Likis, all these sounds in here. Look at there. All these sounds that we went over, they're in every one of these words. Every one of these words, those little simple sounds that we are learning made all these conversational little quotes, little statements little questions, little things. Look here. Okay, here's one right here. I am tired. Jahodosis. I'm tired. You know, I can walk in and say I'm tired. But if I walk into my house and say Jahodosis, Jahodosis, I'm saying I'm tired. Jahodosis, and these are everyday things. Jahodosis, how many times have you said I'm tired? Oh, I mean, I said it today, I'm tired. And last night I was another one, I'm tired, you know. But if I say this to my grandkids, Jahodosis, and my oldest grandbaby will say, she's 12, I call her baby. She'll say, Grandma's tired. Y'all pick up the house. You know, because that's another story in itself, but it was a long day. Nitta Jupki des. Nitta is day, Jupki's long, is, it was. Des was, it was. It was a long day. Nitta Jupki des. How many times you say, walk in and say, it was a long day? In Mvskoke, we can say, Nitta Jupki des. My eyes are tired. Remember that ja is a personal pronoun, means belongs to you, something you can't transfer. Jadothwa. Dothwa is eyes. Hudoshagis. Jadothwa hudoshagis. My eyes are tired. And you know, we do get, our eyes do get tired, you know. I was sleepy. I was sleepy. Janochkilides. See, you say, I was sleepy. I was so sleepy at work. You know, you can say Janochkilides. Janochkilides.
Mvhay, if you're going to say I am sleepy, would it be pretty?
You would say, if I am sleepy, you would say Janochkilis.
And so you would not have to have the D's on there.
You don't have to have the days on there. You just say
Janoskili. Well,
You're
Janoskili.
I see you yawning a while ago. I see you yawning, and I've been through that. Oh God, I've been through it in my office. You know, all of these. Sometimes I think I'm typing, but actually I am, but nothing.
Snoring.
Nothing that makes sense. Janochkilis means you're sleepy now, but I was sleepy. Look at there, was. That's past. Janochkilides, because you're coming home from work, you know, and you walk in and say, Janochkilides, I was so sleepy at work, you know. I was wishing Friday would hurry up and get here. Lup is short for lupki. That's a word, but it says lup. Friday. Othadi Gomayes. Lup was hurry. Friday is Friday. Othad. This is what this is saying, but Othadi means get here or time. Gomayes. This is thinking it would. And this is going to need some explaining, and I'm going to break this down. I was wishing. This right here means wishing. Okay. Look at Friday though. Friday. That's Crinklish. Friday. Because we didn't know how to say Friday, so we got close. We'd say Friday. And then maybe they couldn't pronounce it and said Friday. You know. Othadi Gomayes. Okay, the clock moves slow. Hasiskivka halalatko says. Halalatko says. Hasiskiv. And actually, this is a descriptive word right here, hasiskivka. It means this is the sun, and this is mean it's measuring it. Halalat got. Halal. This is a halalat says. Halalatki means slow. Okay. Halalat says. So the clock moves slow, but this is making sense, you know. But if you had to do this in literal, you would say, sun measure slow was. We ran out at 5, and I'm gonna tell you, that is the truth. I'm not gonna lie to you, when it's 5 o'clock, we're 4:59, we are almost out the door. And it says, Jakibat or thought. Bifat got says. Bifat supposed to be E here, I'm sorry. E goes here, guys. Bifat kit says. Jakibat means at 5. Or thought when you got time. Bifat, that's running. More than one running. So says going out the door. This is short for Oshida. Right here, Oshida means to go out. So says means we were going out. We worked and worked and worked. And this and right here, I don't keep is. Work, we did. We work. And you know, I used to say that to my mom and she would laugh at me because I say, I don't keep. And I would just go on and on and on. She'd say, Mo, that's enough. I would never stop. I just kept going. I'd say it 20, 30 times. I don't keep. She goes, hey, that's enough. You know. So that's we worked and worked and worked. I'm not cooking. Hombida haya hanaks. Hombida is food, but it means cooking, don't it? Haya means cook. Hanaks. I'm not going to. I'm not cooking. We're going to eat sandwiches. Sidi buduguji. Sidi buduguji means it's laying against each other. Sidi buduguji like this. Sidi buduguji. Hombahan. I gotta say, which is Hombahan Dewey's. Dewey's. I'm going to explain Dewey's in this next 6 weeks here. Dewey's. I got that coming. So, okay, look at there. I started speaking Creek and then I went to English mode here. Sidi buduguji Hombahan Dewey's. We are going to, Dewey's means we are, okay? Sidi buduguji means sandwich. Homba means eat. Han are, okay? And then we, okay. So this is going to be, this is how we speak. If I come up and say, Sidi buduguji Hombahan Dewey's, they know what I mean. But literal would be sandwiches, homba, eat, going to eat sandwiches. It's not, you know, it's different. It's a whole different way of speaking. And that's why I say forget English. It's a whole different way of speaking. And that's how come I tell people forget English. And I know it's hard. It's hard. Okay. Coffee or yes. Coffee I have. Right, yeah. Yes, let's yes. You're right. Okay. You're right. So somebody's laughing at my sandwiches and then these, you know that one day I looked at my sentences and I said, Dolores and Jay, I said, I want chicken. When I was writing, I put chicken Jay, and I've written in English and put Creek in it, and then I was writing Mvskoke and I put English in it, and this is, and my coworker does the same thing. She goes, look what I wrote. We sit there and laugh at each other. But this is Sidi buduguji, is sandwich now. And you know, we could say just sandwich Hombahan Dewey's. But that wouldn't sound good. We have to say Sidi buduguji. Sidi buduguji, remember, uji means something small. So Sidi buduguji is something that's like this together. Sidi budugi. Okay. I gotta find a real translation for Sidi budugi. Anyway, this is what we. That's how we talk. And this is what you're gonna be talking soon. This is what you're gonna be speaking. Once you get all this down, I got Brendan over there. I think he's just about there. Brendan, are you on?
I'm
Yeah.
having so much fun. I tell you what.
I hope you're having fun because I hope class is not boring. And that's why in the beginning I told you I add stories, I add little sayings. So, language can be boring. Because you're listening to something, but when you add something to it, it makes it a little more. Okay, hasiskivka. What's hasiskivka? Hasiskivka.
Measure. Sun measure.
Yeah, sun measure. So what is that? Literal. Clock, ain't it? Hasiskivka. Hamga. Hamga. Uthibiga. Baksin Hayatka Jihijagathis. I'll see y'all the morning after tomorrow. Baksi is tomorrow. In Hayatgat, the morning after. So what is that? Ain't it? No. Today's Tuesday. Yeah. I'll see y'all Thursday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning after Thursday. See, I ain't forgot my date. Maybe, maybe Chaudosies. I'm tired. All right. All right. guys.
Mado, Mvhay.
And I hope y'all.
Although,
Are y'all learning something? Gary, are you catching on?
I got much of it in the first classes I took,
Okay.
but not that long break that we had.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot a whole lot of it, but it's good to kind of run over it again and find the phrases that I probably would be using a lot.
Yeah.
Like Janokalidis.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. That's everyday living. How about you?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything? Are you learning? Or have you been in class?
I'm learning.
Good. Because I try to, if you have a problem with one, we'll go back, study it, just like sounds, we went back. And of course, this right here. This right here showed you all those sounds. All those sounds that we were studying is in all this right here. Look how much speaking we did with just sounds. So sounds is our language, just learning these sounds is a big part of it. All right, I will see y'all.
Hello.
We got a lot of chats here. Oh, good. Of course, I'm like, yes, I'm learning, Mado. Good. Yes, I'm learning. Good. Because, I don't want you to leave this class without learning anything. And I guarantee my classes, you will learn something. You will learn something. I guarantee you. You won't walk out of this class without learning anything. That's just the way it is, guys. You will.
Mado, thank you.
Inga, Mado, guys. Chihizagates, Hokola. Haziskitko G Hokola. Wiyanibiga. Haziskitko G is little sun measure, which means minutes. 2 minutes after. Oh, I know. Chihizagates. Chihizagates. Stop sharing.